Shalom, little friends. It gives me a great pleasure to greet you. The second annual holy appointment is Matzot, in Aviv, the first month of the biblical calendar. This is for 7 days, starting from Aviv 15 to 21, and they are holidays. The first day is Day of Convocation, and also the last.
Meh, meh, meh.
Shalom, little friends. We are in the time of the first holy appointments, and that allows us to meet with other brothers in the faith, to rejoice and serve together, while we obey the commandment and learn from its spiritual teaching for us.
Yes, Sharon. In Matzot, we also see the prophetic shadow of Yeshua.
Shadow? How? I don't understand, Yossi. Explain it to me.
Right?
Pastor Wolf, a prophetic shadow means that it has a hidden message for the future, and when the Israelites celebrated Matzot, they were doing it prophetically for when Yeshua came. He would be like that bread without yeast.
Oh, I understood, Yossi. But teach me more about this holy appointment. I know that Matzot is where we eat unleavened bread, and it is an occasion where a feast is held for the Eternal for 7 days.
Of course, Sharon. Little friends, do you also want to learn more about Matzot and celebrate it with understanding, holiness, and much joy?
Let's start, Yossi.
Meh.
The Torah tells us,
In Hebrew, to say unleavened bread, the word matzah is used, and to say feast, the word hag is used.
In Exodus chapter 12 from verse 15 to 20 says, 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. And in detail he explains that from the first day we will make the yeast disappear from our houses. Not a pinch should remain.
And on the first day and also on the 7th day, we will have a holy convocation, and we call it festive Shabbat. They are days of rest to dedicate, to celebrate. No work will be done, except what each one has to eat.
In reality, unleavened bread is eaten from the 4th, when the Pesach memorial is held, because immediately when the 15th day begins, which is the first day of Matzah, and unleavened bread will be eaten until the 21st day of the month in afternoon.
That is why in the special Pesach dinner, we accompany the lamb with bitter herbs and unleavened bread, because in this portion of the Torah it says that from the 14th day,
You will not eat anything leavened in all your house. You will eat unleavened bread.
Also, when the 14th arrives, there shall be nothing leavened in our house, and of course, to celebrate the reminder on the 7 days of Matzot.
It is necessary to live a life without sin, without lies, and without hypocrisy.
We must search even in the last corner of our house, but also in our mind and in our heart, to remove all the yeast and be clean before the Eternal.
In Exodus chapter 13 from verse 6 to 10, he also speaks of the commandment but adds something very important. 7 days you will eat unleavened bread, and on the day you will explain it to your son, saying, It is because of what the Eternal did for me when I left Egypt.
And it shall be for you a sign on your hand, and a reminder between your eyes, so that the law of the Eternal may be in your mouth, because by a strong hand the Eternal brought you out of Egypt. So, from year to year, you shall fulfill this statute at its appointed time.
Year after year, we remember and celebrate again, because the Eternal commands parents to teach their children why we celebrate it, and so children learn to obey this commandment.
We have this instruction because when the Eternal Father delivers the commandments to Moshe, he includes the holy appointments, and when the Eternal repeats the words to Moshe, he returns to mention this of Feast of Unleavened Bread to be celebrated in Leviticus chapter 23 from verse 6 to 8 and Deuteronomy chapter 16 from verse 3 to 4.
Yossi, Matzot is from the 15th day of the first month to the 21st. That is, after the 14th, when Pesach was eaten. The meal of the reminder of the exit from Egypt ends, and the 7 days of unleavened bread begin. This holy appointment is called a feast because it is an offering of our lives.
Matzot, which means unleavened bread, was instituted because when the Israelites leave Egypt, they do so quickly that their loaves are made in a hurry, because there is no time to leaven the dough, and so they take them to eat during the days when they walked towards the desert.
How delicious! 7 days of eating unleavened bread at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Me, me, me.
Pastor Wolf, do you know what yeast represents spiritually?
The yeast? Well, the bad, the evil, the very evil. 11 person does not go to church, does not tithe, does not serve in any ministry, does not commit himself to the work of the Lord, does not dance, does not speak tongues, does not take souls to church.
Oh, Pastor Wolf, the scriptures do not say that.
Me, me.
Yossi, what does the yeast represent?
Sharon, the Bible teaches us that it was in Egypt where they made yeast, and that symbolizes falsehood, hypocrisy, something that represents itself to be what it is not. A leavened bread is full of air and presents itself with greatness, but it does not have it. The Bible then teaches us these days that we must leave the world quickly, and that we must be like unleavened bread in this Egypt. That is, believers who do not pretend, aren't liars, are not actors. We must instead be true. If we believe, then we must obey and not lie.
Yossi, and how is it that Yeshua was like unleavened bread?
Yeshua also lived like unleavened bread. There was no lie or deception in him, and he also helps us to be like him. The number 7 means perfect. This teaches us that, although we leave the yeast for 7 days and only eat unleavened bread, we must be perfect in our lives all the time, being like unleavened bread. If we have already left the Egypt of sin, we have already left the yeast there. Once we are cleansed by Yeshua, then we must remain as he remained in truth and in obedience.
Yossi, then if a believer has now left Egypt, he should not celebrate this festivity, because he would deceive himself, thinking that he is free but is still a slave to sin.
Yes, Sharon. Let's see what Yeshua teaches us. Yeshua says to us,
In Matthew chapter 16, verse 6, it says, Yeshua said to them, Take care and be aware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
In Mark chapter 8, from verse 14 to 21, it says, And he ordered them, saying, Look, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, and of the leaven of Herod.
In Luke chapter 12, from verse 1 to 3, it says, Yeshua began speaking first to his disciples.
Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. 2. For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, and nothing hidden that will not be known.
Therefore, whatever you say in the dark will be heard in full light, and whatever you speak in the bedroom will be made known from the housetops. Yossi, why does Yeshua refer to the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Herod?
Pastor Wolf, Yeshua refers to them to show us behaviors that are not correct, such as evil, rebellion, hypocrisy, disobedience, etc.
In the time of Yeshua, these men no longer obeyed the Eternal or his Torah. They changed the commandments that the Eternal gave and forced the believers to obey their commandments for their own benefit. They did not care that the people would go away from the Eternal. They were only concerned with controlling people and living according to their evil desires. They wanted to be recognized, to have more money, and have more fans.
Oops! The good thing is that I am not like that. What I do is because I have faith, and the people of my churches love me because I am a faithful servant to the work of the Lord. They follow me and give me the tithes voluntarily. I don't force them to. They agree because they want to be prosperous. God is not the enemy of the economic prosperity.
Pastor Wolf, the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Herod thought the same thing. They thought that what they were doing was not bad, but that is to be contaminated with yeast.
Sharon, let's see what Yeshua's emissaries give as an exhortation to believers to beware of yeast, of this modern and current Egypt. The emissaries tell us,
Galatians chapter 5 verse 9 says, a little leaven leavens the whole dough.
First of Corinthians chapter 5 from verse 6 to 8, it says, your boasting it's not good. Do you not know that a little yeast leavens the whole lump?
Cleanse the old yeast so that they are new dough, as they are without yeast, because the Messiah, our Passover, has already been sacrificed.
So let us continue celebrating the solemnity, not with the old leaven, nor with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with unleavened sincerity and truth.
in this feast of Matzot, we must be cleansed of the old yeast of the world, and thus celebrate with integrity. Yeshua, the perfect Lamb of Pesach, and his blood freed us from the death and cleansed our old way of living. We must no longer contaminate ourselves, because the life of faith is not a game. It is something serious, which requires fear and daily obedience.
Yossi, since you have taught us more about Matzot and we are ready for these 7 days of celebration, we can dance to the special song of Matzot.
Sharon, yes, so let's dance.
It's a feast has begun. The first month is in Abib, day 15 you ought to start. 7 days of Hamatzot, Hamatzot you shall to have. The first month is in Abib, day 15 you ought to start. 7 days of Hamatzot, Hamatzot you shall to have. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. It's a feast. 15th of Aviv, 7 days without yeast. Hamatzot you shall to eat, without sin you shall to live. From the 15th of Aviv, 7 days without yeast. Hamatzot you shall to eat, without sin you shall to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast you must to live. Without yeast, without yeast, without yeast, Matzot.
Let's go, Bali. I'm already hungry. Do you want a delicious fluffy bread? Mmm. Help!
In the next teaching, Matzot Day 2, 16th of Aviv. My friends, see you at the next teaching on the second day of Matzot. Shalom!
Little friends, remember to visit the webpage of Cielos Nuevos Niños in the section of Niños, www.cielosnuevosytierranueva.org, and download all the material that is completely free. We also have a WhatsApp and Telegram phone number, +52 33 28 24 91 85, where you can send your pictures and videos as you solve the first sheets of Matzot. You can also share them with us through Facebook at Cielos Nuevos Niños. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cielos Nuevos Niños, and let's continue learning about our Eternal Father's instruction.